Hello, everyone. I couldn't be happier because for this masterclass, we were able to collaborate with Sarah Williams, founder of Rebel Office and actually corporate partner of the Worldwide Immigrants Association. And she's here to talk about entrepreneurship. So thank you so much, Sarah, and welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. So before we start and jump into this discussion, I just wanted to say that we decided to talk about entrepreneurship because a lot of immigrants around the world, when they establish in another country, they immediately think about starting their own business. And this is a great moment to reinvent themselves and start looking into new things. But the reality might be different. And we have to be very conscious about the things that we are about to start and to really know if we are ready to jump into this adventure. So I believe that you, with all your experience and your knowledge, are going to be able to clarify all these things and to make us think deeper about this reality and if we are ready to become an entrepreneur, or maybe we have to think about it. So I leave you the stage, Sarah, and let's go.
All right. Yeah, becoming an entrepreneur is a huge step. And I mean, whether you are surrounded by entrepreneurs and you think that, okay, yes, it's totally possible, it's everyone around me is doing it, it looks so easy, or if you're not around them at all and you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know where to start, I would say that entrepreneurship, the reality of it is somewhere in the middle of both of those. And it's not an easy decision to make. It takes a ton of work, and I will be the first person to tell you that it's not a cakewalk, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It's also been one of the most rewarding and educational things that I've ever done personally, and that I know that my clients have done as well. So I definitely want you to think about it, and if you have been thinking about it, I want you to know that you're not alone in thinking that it's something that you can do. I did find these really cool stats that I wanted to share with you about immigrant entrepreneurs because I think that they can inspire you. So in the US, these are stats for the US, but in 2016, the immigrant population was 13.2%. But of all new entrepreneurs in 2016 in the States, 29.5% were immigrants. And I think the coolest stat that I found while I was researching was that the US startup companies worth over $1 billion as of January 2015, 51% were founded by immigrants. And these companies, on average, employed 760 people. So your impact and the impact that you can have as an entrepreneur and an immigrant can be huge on the economy of the new communities that you're living in globally as well. So now that you know that you're not alone in this whole thinking and you're not crazy for thinking that it's something that you want to do, should you actually try it? My response would be yes, but to go into it being aware of a few things. So I have a few different things that I want you to think about before actually taking that leap. Because yes, you can do it. Anything is possible, but get some things sorted out before you do. So I would say that number one is to assess your financial situation. One of the biggest pitfalls, I guess, or common mistakes made by entrepreneurs is that they spend money that they either don't have, or they get too much money that they grow too quickly. So money is a really big thing for a lot of entrepreneurs. So I think it depends on your business model. I mean, there are so many different types of businesses out there that are very, like, it can be very equipment heavy. If you're thinking on the more industrial or construction side, it could be very lean. If you're thinking the online business side, where all you need is social media and your message. So be aware of the type of business that you think you want to start, and then think as lean as possible for that to get started, because it turns out that you don't need a lot to start a business. But if there are specific things that you do need, I know that, like, for graphic designers, you need specific design software, which can cost into the hundreds or thousands of dollars. So do your research on your financial situation and make sure, I mean, I would recommend being financially stable to go 18 months without income. That said, I did not do this, and I've been running Rebel Office for 3 years. I was working in a consulting firm right out of university, and I quit and started Rebel Office. So there's always different paths to do it. But from my experience, I would recommend that you be financially stable or be ready to not have income for 18 months to start your business, because it does take traction, and you can be as optimistic as possible, but it doesn't always work out that way. So be prepared and assess your financial situation. That's definitely the biggest one, I would say. I would also say, before you jump in, to do it to serve, to go in with the intention of the impact that you actually want to have, and be ultimately deeply rooted in the why that you're doing it. Because as you go through this journey of entrepreneurship, you're going to question yourself. You're going to start going in different directions. There's this thing called shiny object syndrome that's very real. So just being very deeply rooted in why you're actually starting your business will help you stay focused and ultimately get you where you want to go quicker. Okay? And the last one that I want to touch on is to do your research first. So like I said, like with your budget, know how much stuff costs before you're getting into it, and ultimately just know what you're getting yourself into. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this. You can talk to other entrepreneurs that are doing a similar business model. You can hop on to like Facebook groups and do market research surveys, or you can just Google things and see how other people are running their businesses, and ultimately see, okay, well, how can I create this? Do I know how to create this? Do I need to learn something before I even jump into becoming an entrepreneur? So it does depend on your life situation. If you can just jump on in and learn as you go, or if you need to see success a lot quicker, then maybe you should take some time to keep working that corporate job if you have one, and develop those skills first before jumping in. So yeah, definitely just make sure that it works with the life that you have now, and be prepared to be uncomfortable for a little bit as you're getting your business going. So now, I guess, if you have decided that becoming an entrepreneur is something that you want to do, well, okay, well then what? Like, how do you actually go about doing it? So with Rebel Office and our clients, we walk them through kind of like a 10-step roadmap. And I want to walk you through those different steps, because there are some things that I think are important to have established before making it legit, before putting it out there, to, like I said, kind of prevent as many obstacles as possible, to avoid as many of those pitfalls that you can. So let me just jump into those. Diana, am I doing all right? Am I okay to just keep on going? Do you have any questions?
No, yeah, you go. Okay. You go,
okay. Let me know if I'm rambling too much, because I could talk about this for days. Okay. So the step number 1 is your business model. So this is pretty much just turning your idea into a functional business. So ultimately, it's just mapping out, okay, what are your key activities? Are there any key partnerships that you need to be aware of? Who's your target audience, or your customer segment? And what ultimately is the value that you're offering them through your key activities and key partnerships? So it's all kind of intertwined. And of course, the biggest part of your business model is, how are you going to make money? So what is your revenue stream? And then what are kind of your cost? What's your cost structure? So out of any key resources that you have or that you need, what's the cost of those? And make sure that they kind of balance out. I mean, I'm not sure what the exact stat is, that a lot of startup businesses are actually in the red for the first 3 years, but this does not need to be your reality. But it is something to, like I said, prepare yourself for. But as you're working through your business model, you can see, okay, is there any way that I can have revenue streams that will kind of support this and keep me through, based on my cost structure as well? So it is kind of just looking at everything and getting it all down on paper. So I would recommend just taking whatever idea you have, or as many ideas as you have, and getting it down on paper, and start to visualize it. Mind mapping is like my favorite thing to do, so you can try that. Or I also have this tool. You should look up the Business Model Canvas by Strategizer. It's a free PDF download, and it's basically like a business model canvas, and it's a really cool tool just to get your ideas out as well. So step number 2 is your ideal client. So this is starting to think about, okay, who do you want to reach, and how can you create tangible and like educated assumptions about them so that you can ultimately reach them better. So this is getting as specific as, okay, what's their gender, what's their demographic, what's their age range, what's their occupation, salary, everything. Ultimately, so that you can, when you get down to, okay, what are their hobbies, what social media platforms are they on, then it starts to become clear, okay, what do they care about? What are their values? How can I prove to them that I'm aligned with their values? How can I prove to them that I have a solution for their problem? And where do I talk to them? How do I talk to them? How do they consume information? And how can I, with my business idea, relate to them and get them to pay attention to me? So step number 2 is huge from a marketing perspective. And I would also recommend at this stage to do like on the ground market research. So that's getting on the phone with people. And this is a huge step, because a lot of, not only the language and stuff that you're going to hear them saying you'll want to use, but ideas can come out of that, or stuff that maybe you thought was a really good idea. Turns out everyone that you're talking to, it's not resonating with them. Okay, well, maybe you should rethink that. And I'm not saying that everything that you get out of your market research is going to be accurate. I think everything needs to happen, or you need to listen to it all with a grain of salt and trust your instinct, but be open to what your market research is saying, and get on the phone with people and ask them questions and explain your idea. And I've also found that with market research, you also end up getting a lot of future clients from it, because they actually do resonate with your idea, or customers. So they'll actually want to know more about it, even though they're only there or went in to just give you free information and their insight, and for you to kind of brainstorm with them. So it's a really cool opportunity as well. So number 3 is defining what your signature offer is, or your product offering. So if you are like an e-commerce store, making it clear what kind of product categories you want to have. This is where kind of the logistics come in, and okay, what products do I want to offer? Or if you're a coach or a consultant or service-based business, what are the deliverables of the services that I want to offer? And a quick side note on signature offers or for service-based businesses, having a very specific offer, or 2 or 3, is going to be key to streamlining your business. And we'll talk a little bit more about streamlining in a bit, but having a signature offer helps you kind of define your brand, and it makes it easier operationally, because it's the same service agreement going out to everyone. It's the same like welcome package, or it's the same information that it aligns, I guess, or resonates with a lot of people. So it makes your job easier, and it helps you offer a better experience for them. So just food for thought when it comes to your signature offer for service-based businesses as well. So now, here's where the fun happens. So number 4 or number 5 can be interchanged, but ultimately I would say number 4 is when you make it legit. So now you are deeply rooted in what your business is, what you're going to offer, who you're going to offer it to. Now is when you go and register your business. So this is huge, but I don't want you to go and do the other stuff after you register your business. It's important that it happens first, because you need to know what your business is actually going to be before you go and register it, because registering it is also when you kind of make the name official and when you start to claim your space in your market. So whether or not you're ready to go or not, I'd recommend doing this, kind of like claiming your space. So when you go to make it legit, is what I call it, here's where you would decide what type of business structure you want. So this could be a sole proprietorship, and I can go on for days about the differences of these types of businesses, and there's pros and cons to everyone. So ultimately, and I'll do kind of a brief cap so that I don't go on forever, but so your sole proprietorship is the easiest to do. If you're just operating under your name, you don't need to do anything. If you add, say, like Sarah Williams Coaching, then you need to register it. But if you're just operating as Sarah Williams, then you're good. But then you would register with either your province or state or the government, or like federal government. But the issue with this, or I guess con of this, is that your personal assets are now tied to your business. So if someone sues your business, your personal assets are on the line. So just something to keep in mind, and do your own research on this to see what's best for you. If you're going in with someone else, there's a partnership which has the same legal obligations, I guess, as a sole proprietorship, except that it's split between you and the other person or other people. And then there's the incorporation. So this is the most legally protected, or like you are a separate from them. But that also means that there are different rules associated with that in terms of taxes and operation and stuff like that as well. So definitely do your research on it. If you are in the States, I know there's another type of structure called an LLC, a limited liability corporation, and that's basically an incorporation in Canada. They're very similar. So yeah, wherever you are, do your research, see at what level of government you want to be registered at. And of course, provincial or state is normally a little more affordable than federal, but you're also more protected at the federal level. So do your research. It's a very big decision, but when you do that and you register your business, then you're good to go. I would also say at this stage to claim your website domain, just so that it doesn't get taken away from you. And then you've got it. And you can also set up your email at this stage, because you're going to start to be doing those outreach kind of campaigns, and you're going to start to operate more as a business. So setting up kind of your website is now, and you would start to think about this. Your domain you're going to want to grab. So you can go to like GoDaddy.com, for example, and grab that and just see what's available, because it might not be available, the one that you're thinking. So then you have to start to get creative. So okay, I went on a really long time about that, but that's okay. So step number 5 is to build out your branding. And with this, I am not just talking about your logo and your colors. I'm not talking about that first. I'm talking more about what your values are. How do you want to present yourself, or how do you want to come across to your future clients and customers? Being rooted in this and having the kind of strategy behind the brand is super important, because then you can build out the physical, tangible, like visible materials that will help you present yourself in a specific way for the people that you actually want to reach. So there's this whole thing now about your brand isn't kind of what you tell people it is, it's how people perceive you. And that's true, but if you have the strategy kind of built out, and then you start to build that into your materials that you put out there, you can have a pretty big influence on how people perceive you. So it's very important work to do. And this is like your logo and your website, any kind of materials that you put out there. But that said, and like I said originally with a common pitfall, entrepreneurs spend money on stuff that they don't necessarily need to spend money on in the beginning. And branding is one of those things. So I would, if you're not ready, I guess, to invest in full-on branding package or a bunch of swag for your company, which you don't need at the beginning, or a bunch of that like fancy stuff just to show people that you're a legitimate business, you don't need that. What you need is a place for people to go to access information about you and to learn how to work with you. And you need some kind of identifier to start to build your brand out. And obviously your logo is the easiest way to do that. Okay, so just food for thought. Branding is a big step, but it also kind of happens throughout the rest of the process as well, because obviously you don't just build a website overnight. Okay, so step number 6 is differentiators in your customer experience. So now, like, you've already decided what your signature offer is, but now is when you start to think, okay, what makes me different? How can I stand out from my competitors? So you would also start to do your competitive research here, which you've already done a little bit of, but it's important to go back again and see, okay, what are they doing? How can I do it better? Or what are they not doing that they're missing? What gap can I fill there? So here's where you start to think about, okay, what makes me different? Your differentiators. And then I also like to work in your customer experience here, because it's a huge part. So whether you're dealing with customers or clients, ultimately people, when they buy from you, they want an experience. They want to know that right away that the money that they've given you is going somewhere. They want automatic kind of confirmation that it's been received. They want to feel like they are a part of your brand and that you appreciate their business. So the easiest way that I can kind of relate, that I help my clients relate to this, I guess, is to think about a good experience that you've had where you've been like, oh, wow, like that was really impressive. I need to tell people about this. And a very bad experience that you've had. So when was some time when you're like, oh my gosh, like I regret buying that, or I can't believe that the customer service was like that or whatever. Like, when were those kind of triggers? How can you do better than that? How can you make sure that you don't have those kinds of experiences? And like I said, the easiest way is to put yourself in the customer's shoes, or to think about a time when it's happened to you and you know now how not to do things. Number 7 is your visibility plan. So this is where you start to think about marketing. This is how are you going to get the word out there, whether it is on social media, or if your ideal client hates social media, do not be on social media. So this is where you start to think and tie it into step number 2 when you talked about your ideal client. How can you reach them? What do you have to say to them? Who are you reaching? So this is where it all comes into the logistical kind of side and the marketing stuff. Number 8 is workflows and processes. So now is where you start to get into the operations. Okay, what are the steps? Like if I bring a team member on eventually, I need to have it outlined how to ship a product so that it's shipped properly every time, even if I'm not the one doing it, right? And this can be tedious, and it's very easy to overstep or like overlook, I guess, at the beginning, because if it's just you starting, it's very easy to just get into the routine and you know what's going on. But then if you don't take the time, okay, this is like my favorite saying of all time. If you don't take the time to do it right, when are you ever going to take the time to do it over? So just do it right from the beginning. Track as you are learning how to do things, track the steps and map out your workflows as you learn. And then you can refine them and go back to them and find opportunities to streamline or automate or delegate. But start the process at the beginning when you're getting started. And then step number 9 is admin and organization. So this is where you are making sure that you've set up like a financial spreadsheet or your accounting software. This is where you kind of step out of your role as starting your business and more into the role of, okay, I'm the boss. What's my role as the boss? What kind of administrative things need to be taken care of? And it's not always the most fun thing in the world as an entrepreneur. You become an entrepreneur to serve and to deliver whatever you want to deliver, but you still have to run your business at the same time. So what's kind of the organizational, what's the stuff that has to happen that you might not fully enjoy doing? Here's where you kind of build those processes in place. And then step number 10 is when you start to plan for the future. So you have everything going and you're starting to get the word out there and your products and services are getting bought and kind of the systems are working and it's all going. How do you now build or plan for sustainable growth? And this one's huge, and it's where you start to take intentional action and you start to act, like I said, like as the CEO or as the boss of your business instead of working on it or in it. Yes, you need to work on it instead of in it sometimes. So that is what this stage is for. This is when you start to think about, okay, 1 year from now or 5 years from now, or where I want my business to be, what do I need to do to get it there? And that's when you start to take the guesswork out of the day-to-day stuff, where all of one day you come across something that you have an idea and you're like, oh shoot, like, well, I need to do this to get sales for next month. No, you should be thinking 2 or 3 months ahead at this point. You should be thinking, okay, what's the offer or campaign that I want to run 3 months from now? What do I need to do today to start getting ready for that? And that's kind of where the long-term gain overcomes the short-term game, which is what you're in business for. You're in business for a sustainable career as an entrepreneur and as the owner of your business. You aren't just in it for a quick buck. So this is where you start to think about, okay, what actually needs to happen for this to be a long-term situation. You're good to go, and you just keep on working towards your mission, and it can slip and you can forget why you're doing it and it can get hard, and that's okay, because as long as you just always remember why you started in the first place and you are just always open to learning is huge. You will learn more as an entrepreneur than you will learn ever in your life, and it's very exciting. It's a very exciting time.
Oh, it is, and it's an adventure, and it's something that We actually, when we jump into entrepreneurship, not all the time we are conscious about all the steps and the processes that we have to follow in order to be a successful entrepreneur, and not to be hustling and struggling during the process.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry. I just
No,
feel
it's
like,
okay.
so I threw a lot at everyone. And there is a lot that goes into it, but that doesn't mean that it has to be hard. Like, I feel like it's very easy to overthink things. And ultimately, it just kind of takes down to, you've got to be resourceful. You've got to be willing to find the solution, but just take it day by day and just keep working at this big task that you have of starting a business. Break down every single task into as small a possible task as you can, and just work on those whenever you have the time, and it'll eventually get there. So it doesn't need to be overwhelming. It doesn't need to be a ton of work. I mean, I love the fact that entrepreneurship can help you have whatever life you want to have. You can design your business however you want it to be, to give you whatever life that you want. So it just does take you being aware of, okay, well, what life do I actually want? How can I get that through my business?
Definitely, and we're not only talking about like you becoming Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg, like creating a super big empire. We are actually talking about the steps that you can follow. I don't know, to create a little store on Etsy, or to sell, I don't know, cupcakes around your corner, right? If you follow these steps that Sarah showed us today, it's not that you're going to create a very master business plan to go to the Shark's Tank, but it's actually something that is going to bring you the idea on the things that you want for your business, how it looks like, what is it going to represent to yourself, and all the efforts that you're going to make. It's for you to be able to, I don't know, have a landscape in front of you on what you want to have in your personal life, because we cannot separate personal from professional. Even if we want, it's impossible. It's impossible, because I believe they are just tied to each other. So the more that you know about your professional life, your entrepreneurship life, and your personal life, and how you can make them match to each other, it would be easier for you.
With all of that, yeah.
Yeah, I believe something happened with the connection. But yeah, so for example, in these 10 steps, is there any step that we can skip that is not urgent, is important, but it's not elementary for your business?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. Like I said, it's very easy to want to skip ahead, and it's very easy to want to speed up the process, and get it out there, for example, before you have an established brand. Like, say you want to just start telling people about it. You can do that, that it could just then lead back to you coming and pivoting and having to redo everything. So be wary of that. With kind of build out your workflows and processes. Yes, you can just kind of do it and figure it out as you go, but doing it right the first time will save you an insane amount of time in the future, because you then have your processes and stuff worked out. You then have your templates built. So say, for example, invoicing. Every time that you need to invoice someone, if you have a template built because you've worked on that workflow and you know everything that you need to have in place in order to invoice someone or to deliver a product or service, then you already have it, instead of every single time spending a half an hour typing up a new invoice and sending it to people. So a good thing about kind of mapping out your workflows, which I think is probably the step that most people will skip, is that you then see, okay, where are the opportunities that I can automate? So I see that when I want to deliver my service, that I need to invoice people. Well, okay, I hate invoicing. I think it's a waste of time. Okay, well then, is there a system that you can bring in, or a program that you can bring in that'll do it for you and will take it off your hands completely? You can do this from the beginning. You don't need to struggle for the first year and a half trying to figure it out, to then come back and say, oh, okay, maybe I should have just set this up at the very beginning and saved myself 5 hours every week. I'm not saying invoicing takes you that long. I'm just saying general administration and stuff like that. It can save you 10 to 15 hours a week just by being intentional with the systems and stuff that you want to bring into your business.
Definitely. And for example, let's say that we are already there in our jobs on 9 to 5s, and we are already thinking about becoming an entrepreneur and how am I going to quit my job and jump into this adventure. You said that we should save 18 months at least for a good income for us to feel relaxed and happy and actually put all of our attention into this enterprise or company that we want to create. But I don't know, are we able to start something in the meantime, like while we are with just one foot out of the company that we're working at? How can we start it?
For sure. And yeah, so I guess my 18-month benchmark was more like when you are ready to leave, or if you are ready to start your business, make sure that you have a security blanket. And I'm not saying 18 months of your full-time income that you've already got, like just whatever you know that you need. Like I said, you're going to be uncomfortable for the first little bit. So whatever you need to be able to survive and cover your bills and not add any unnecessary financial stress. I say that, but also financial stress can be very motivating. So just being very aware of kind of how you work, that 18 months could change. But that, like you said, it's a very smart move to actually start thinking and building your business while you already have a job. This is huge. And if you are prepared to put in the work after hours, it's definitely the smartest move. It's definitely the best way to go. And all of these steps you can start to do at home at night or in the morning before you go to work. It really does depend on your commitment level to making this happen, because there is time in the day. You don't work 24 hours out of the day. So you can start to dedicate, even if it's just an hour every night, where you go into your bedroom or you shut out the world somewhere and you just sit down and say, okay, what do I need to work on next? And you just set a timer on your phone, give yourself an hour, 2 hours, whatever you have, half an hour, and start making those decisions and start building your business that way. And then by the time that you are ready to quit your job, you'll know you're ready. So whether that happens through, if you want to become like an online coach, you can start to book your coaching calls on weekday evenings or on the weekend, and you can start to generate income on the side while still working your corporate job. And then you'll know that, okay, when that starts to become too much and you are getting too many clients and your business is doing too well, that you're ready to leave your corporate job if that's something you want to do. I know a lot of people that they still love their job, but they also wanted a creative outlet through a side hustle as well. So like I said, it really does depend on the situation that you're in, what you actually want out of your life. And yeah, it might take a bit more work and a bit more time up front, especially if you are juggling a 9 to 5, but it's worth it. And it could lead you to total time and financial freedom in the future, right? So
yeah. And I believe, like, if you already have this itch of creating a company or starting your own business, is that definitely there's something that it's taking you to this area and to this new world. So for example, we can follow, of course, the steps that you already mentioned, but if we are starting to feel this I don't know, anxiety of learning something else, we can only just start by researching. This is one of the steps that you mentioned, and research is super, super good to do, and it doesn't take a lot of time, and we all do that. Like while we are on the bus and we are on our cell phone checking on, oh yeah, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. But instead of, I don't know, keeping this information, we are just letting it go. And then all the process will come again when we are serious in business, right? So instead of just letting it go, maybe we have our phone. Yeah, pin it, keep it, send it to your email, send it to your best friend, your husband, whatever, and keep it there. So you are already there in business without even noticing it.
Yeah, 100%.
So thank you so much. I believe, this talk gives us a lot of space for more and more. So tell us more about, for example, what you're doing for all these people who are already thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, and maybe they are already just starting to learn about new things to do. What do we have on Rebel Office?
For sure. So Rebel Office is kind of rooted in this one stat that, and this might not be the best stat to throw out here now, but I'm going to do it anyways because you need to know what you're getting yourself into. Over 50% of businesses fail within the first 4 years, which is crazy because there are like millions of new businesses started every year. So Rebel Office and my own personal mission is to kind of inspire and advocate for and educate entrepreneurs to be able to build their businesses that allow them to create and serve and live the life that they want. But ultimately, we want to help. Our number is 100,000. We want to directly impact 100,000 entrepreneurs to beat that stat, and to ultimately build a business that makes the world a better place. So we've designed Rebel Office to be this go-to resource for trusted and high-quality resources for entrepreneurs to be able to find the information that they're looking for, because entrepreneurs, like I said, shiny object syndrome, you spend so much time just researching things and trying new things out, and they don't end up working out, or it's the wrong information, or it's not what you need, and you waste a lot of time doing that and just staring at your screen. So having a place to go where you know that you're going to get the answers, that's what we've made Rebel Office into. So we've done this like for people who want to start businesses and need the help to be able to do that because they don't know where to start. We have a 3-month program for that. So you go from idea to fully operational in 3 months. And it's like for people with full-time jobs, like it's totally doable to do it within that time, so long as you have the guidance and the resources to be able to do that. But for if you're already in business, or even if you're not ready for that full-on commitment, or you've started, but you think you can do it on your own, we have the Rebel Office membership, which we've partnered with you on, Diana, to offer your community 20% off, I believe, to the membership, or for your members zone, 50% off. So it's huge. And ultimately it's this online searchable library of business tools and templates and tutorials for all of these apps that are out there, and how do you know which one's the best one. And but it's also probably the best part about it is that it's a community of entrepreneurs that are going through the exact same thing that you are. And it's there to share and get feedback, because a lot of us are surrounded by people who don't get it. So surrounding yourself with people who do really keeps you focused and keeps you on track towards actually reaching the success that you know you can have. So
yeah, and all the networking that you can get. And as well, I cannot say it enough that all the resources that they have in Rebel Office and the membership, or even, for example, working directly with Sarah, you cannot even believe how much you're going to learn there, because through the membership, for example, you have all the steps that she just mentioned just there for you to sit after your job, for example, or sit on the weekend, or sit on your vacation if you are that kind of nerd, and go through that information and just start little step by step, no pressure, no rush, and just go and learn and see if this is right for you. Because if you want to try it as well, if you want to try becoming an entrepreneur, at least you're going to have everything, all this mosaic just in front of you, and the resources. And maybe you will see that it's not as hard as it looks like with this masterclass. It's actually easier. And having the resources that Sarah is putting in place for us at the member zone, and everything that she has built, of course, is a big help. So I thank you so much again for all this information and all the knowledge that you just shared with us. Yeah, well, of course it was a hit, but it it couldn't be in another way. Like entrepreneurship is already a very big step. It's like kind of a very big commitment. It's like getting married to someone that you don't even know. So it's actually heavy, and it's hard to process in just one sit. We are going to leave, of course, this masterclass inside of the member zone for everybody to go and check it again and again and see all the steps that you just talked about. And well, we'll see you as well at the meet and greet with a lot of questions we hope to receive after this masterclass. So thank you so much again for your time and for all the knowledge again, and see you next time.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I mean, I could talk about this for days, but I had such a great time, and working with you is amazing. So thank you so much.
And me too. Working with you is like, wow. So I experienced it. You have to go to Zara and experience it yourself. You are going to have fun, and you're going to learn a lot of things. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye.